All right, welcome to the August 16th Makeup Historic District Commission meeting. We're going to call it to order at, I can't see the 5:01. I guess could we have a roll call for commissioners who are here? I guess.
Sorry. Grayson?
Here.
Mitchell?
Here.
Bird?
Here.
Kastner? Here. Underwood?
Here.
And Stuckey told me that he would not be here today, so that that is an excused absence, or he let me know ahead of time.
Yep. Do we need to approve his absence?
Yes.
All right, is there a motion to approve Mr. Stuckey's absence?
So moved.
Thank you, Dana. Is there a second? Thank you, Andrew. Those in favor will say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, his absence is approved. We do have one amendment to the agenda, which is to remove item D under new business. Any other amendments to the agenda? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Thank you. Is there support?
Support.
Thank you. Those in favor of approving the agenda as amended will say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, hearing none, the agenda is approved. Introduction of guests. Do we have any guests who are not presenting or case this evening? Okay, hearing none. Is there any public comment on non-agenda items? All right, hearing none. Luis, would you read the disclaimer, please?
Yes, I will. One moment. Here we go. Okay. Chapter 16, Section 22 of the City of Kalamazoo Code of Ordinance states, historical preservation is a public purpose. To serve that purpose, the Historic District Commission is hereby charged with the following responsibilities. A, the Kalamazoo Historic District Commission is empowered to regulate work on the exterior of historic resources and non-historic resources in historic districts in the City of Kalamazoo and shall otherwise have all powers invested in historic district commissions pursuant to the Local Historic District Act, MCLA 399201, 1970, PA 169, as amended 1992. B, to regulate work on historic researches by city ordinance, or which by city ordinance are historic or non-historic resources located within local historic districts, including but not the moving of any structure into or out of, or the building of any structure in an historic district. The following documents are available in the Community Planning and Economic Development Department located at 245 North Rose Street. These documents will help assist property owners in understanding the responsibilities of owning property in a local historic district, MCLA 399201, 1970, PA 169, as amended 1992. The Secretary of the Interior's Standards for Rehabilitation and Guidelines for Rehabilitating Historic Buildings, 1990, Standards and Guidelines for Kalamazoo Historic Districts and Maps of Kalamazoo Local Historic Districts. These documents and maps are also available on the city's website at kalamazooCity.org/historic preservation.
Thank you, Luis. All right, there's no old business, so we're going to move directly to new business. First up is 504 Stewart.
And I just want to say, I guess for the folks at home, this is a rescheduled meeting of the August meeting because we did not have quorum, so it is new business, yes, but this is just all kind of coming back from the August slated business meeting, so.
Awesome, thank you.
We're working right now to get the agenda up. There is a slight technical difficulty in the beginning, but it will be up shortly, so.
Great. Could you state your name and tell us about your project? Hold on one second. I think, wait. Oh, it was my fault. I think I had your microphone off. Try now.
Oh, do I have
that's
to-
way better.
there?
Yeah, way
Do I have
better.
to start
Sorry.
all over?
No, you're
Oh,
good.
good.
You're
Okay.
good.
So we are going to have the roof reshingled this year, and during the process of walking around with the property with the owners, they decided that there's 2 chimneys that they would like to have taken down. That was suggested by the roofing company that they come down. And then there's also 1 window, I don't know what side of the house it's on, but there's a picture of it, that they would like to remove. It's not on the original part of the house.
And it's on the south side of the building, where the siding is still horizontally running, but it's much broader than the original siding on the house, and it's kind of in between the regular clapboard and the vertical siding in the picture. So it won't be in, I guess, yeah, it is in that print one that you have there. So just wanted to let everyone know what to look for there.
So removing the window, does the new window go back, or is it just, it's going to be sided?
Their purpose on the inside is to put up a wall right there, and so they can have a door that leads to the basement. So they were hoping to not have a window. If you would want a window, possibly we could put one in smaller up above that
So
area
There'd be a door there instead of the window?
on the inside of the
On the
property.
inside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the chimneys, it looks like the one in the back is not original,
Correct.
but the one in the sort of middle, we think is?
I believe so.
Okay. And what was the reason that the roofing company wanted to remove it?
I don't know if they primarily talked to the owner instead of with me, but they think it was having to do with, they wanted to cap it off so that way it wouldn't drain inside the house. And if it was roofed and capped over flat, as opposed to trying to make repairs to the chimney with the flashing and.
Okay. Are there questions, discussion that the commissioners would like to have?
None of the chimneys are venting, none of the chimneys are venting any type of appliance or anything right now? Do they know that?
No, they're not currently.
One on the back does not look original, it's older.
Yes.
I mean, that looks like addition off the back too, with some type of vertical siding, and then the one upper looks like it was probably always in that location, but I don't know if the masonry is original or not. Looks like it might have been rebuilt up above the roof line at one time. I did go out there to this site today.
So on this one, I'm already like thinking about how this is almost like 3 different issues. The window in the non-original part of the house, I don't see any real problem with removing that. And then the cinder block chimney, again, is in the same boat, but the original chimney, to me, seems like something that I would love to see stay. And I don't know if anyone else has any input on that, but that's my thoughts, just looking at it.
I agree. I think it would be unusual to see a house like this without a chimney. And therefore, I think it is part of the defining characteristic of the house. That would be the middle chimney, not the one.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that's been said. I mean, to me, short of some sort of report that's indicating it's, about to fall down, which we don't have, would be a defining characteristic. I feel the same way, the window and the one on the back, I'm not too worried about. I guess I'd be interested to know what type of siding is going to go back where the window is. That'd be that one question I would have, just to make sure that I assume it's going to match what's there.
Yeah, I can have it match what's there.
Okay. Any other comments?
I was just going to ask, do we make a motion to approve the two items separate? I mean, does everyone agree that the two items seem to be kind of lumped together and we would be able to vote on that? And then we'd break off the original chimney and vote on that one specifically too?
Yeah, I don't know, Luis. I mean, to me, is there a reason we can't just do all three of them together as one motion to approve the two and deny the one, or do you think it needs to be separate?
Probably separate and make them, I think, put them all forward in the positive way of saying that, will the removal of the window pass? And then if no one passes that through, that stands as it not getting passed. So just, make sure that they're all posed in the same way.
Would it be helpful to have three separate motions, one for each item, defining basically east chimney, west chimney, and window?
I think that so if there's two that are going to go and yes, you could do them all separately, yes.
Okay, then I would like to make a motion to approve the removal of the east chimney in the non-historic addition on the house. This proposal complies with Secretary of the Interior Standards 1, 2, 5, and 6. The Commission approves the certificate of appropriateness for this project. Any approval of any final details to be delegated to the Historic Preservation Coordinator.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Dana. Is there any public comment before we vote? All right, hearing none. Any further discussion before we vote? Okay, Luis, could we have a roll call vote on the removal of the east chimney?
Yep. Grayson,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Kastner. Yes. Underwood.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then I would like to make a motion to deny the removal of the west chimney, original to the house. This proposal complies, or rather, at that point, we don't have to have a complies, do we?
No.
Okay, so deny the removal of the west chimney.
I'll second that.
All right, thank you. Any public comment? Hearing none. Just further discussion, I would just want to remind everybody a vote of yes would be to deny the chimney. So could we have a roll call vote, please, Luis?
Yes. Grayson,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Kastner,
Yes.
Underwood.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the removal of the window as specified. The proposal complies with the Secretary of the Interior Standards 1, 2, 5, and 6. The Commission approves the certificate of appropriateness for this project. Approval of any final details to be delegated to the Historic Preservation Coordinator.
I second that.
Thank you. Any public comment before we vote? All right, hearing none. Further discussion from the commissioners? I just want to be clear that we're going to delegate whatever gets put back to the Historic District Commission, or the Historic District Coordinator. Is that okay with you, Luis?
Yes.
Okay. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Yep. Grayson,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Kastner,
Yes.
Underwood.
Yes.
All right, thank you. You will get a letter detailing the next moves, right, Luis?
Yep, so I'll send a letter that says, you know, the one chimney and the one window are okay to come down and that the other one isn't. I'll probably just lump that all into one letter.
Okay.
Next steps moving forward as well. So I don't know when the physical letter will get to you, but I'll send out an email kind of the PDF of it tomorrow to you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course, thank you for coming out, and I'm sorry that we couldn't have you up on the screen. We're still trying
That's
to figure.
okay. I didn't need to be up there.
All right, next up is 1428 West South.
Yep, and so because of the schedule, Derek Zamansky, who's the representative for this one, is away on work, so I'm just going to briefly present some of the things. He told me ahead of time that he wasn't going to be able to make it, so
Okay.
I'm just going to go over them. Again, I apologize for the lack of screen that we're having right now. So this project is just the replacement of a front door, a non-historic front door at this point. It is a metal door, and it's got a little bit beat up over the years. There's a picture, and I'm sorry again that it's not up, but there's some holes where I think old doorknobs have been that aren't going to work anymore, or they've changed in size now, and then some damage from the current doorknob, or I don't know what you want to call it, the door handle kind of swinging back and forth and abrading it a little bit. Everything else will stay the same. Mostly just the change in the door. They're gonna, I think, seems to me as necessary, rebuild the framing of it to match if they need to, if it gets damaged or anything on the way that it is right now. And the reason that I brought it was because it's gonna be a change in material and it's gonna be to a composite. So I brought an example of the composite that was provided to me by the applicant if people wanna look at it and stuff. It is not wood, I guess in the most classical sense.
So the door is up for a vote or not tonight?
Yes, the door is,
And
yeah.
then the solar panels are no?
The solar panels.
That's a whole different deal. That was a previous. I'm reading off the PDF I have right here, on my phone.
Okay. I must have just messed up in writing that, so I apologize.
Okay.
It is just the door, so I'm sorry for that.
Okay. My comment on the door is, as long as I've been on the commission, not that any case has any bearing on, we treat each one individually, is that, to my recollection, we've always approved, as long as the style of that door is right, because I like the fiberglass door with the wood grain on it. And you can't tell a difference. And this is like we've been talking about, using the alternate materials and how things are going. This Sprague Street tees right at the end of this. I mean, it's right there. You can see it from the road, but it will be a drastic improvement over the old steel door that's in there.
Yeah, thanks, John. I mean, I agree with John. To me, there isn't a historic wood door that's being torn out to make room for this, which I think is a caveat, so.
I agree with that 100%.
Cool. And I apologize, that was just, it must have been a copy and paste error on my part with the solar panels. So this is not for solar panels here, it is for the door. So the commission action should be approve the installation of the fiberglass door, or the new door, rather, instead of the 16 solar panels, so.
I'm willing to make a motion, but I can't, on this thing right here, I can't see, you got the standards right there. I don't know if I look at, without reading through them, 1, 2, and 6 are on those. I don't have the
Yep.
whole standards. Is there, well, you lead us. Anybody got any more comment on this door? Or?
I think we're ready for a motion if
All right,
you're feeling.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve the door as presented, based on the Secretary of Interior Standards number 1, 2, and 6, and the commission approves certificate of appropriateness for the project. Approval of any finding details delegated to the Historic Preservation Coordinator.
Second.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Andrew. Any public comments on this case before we vote? Hearing none. Any further discussion among the commission? No. Louise, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Grayson,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Kastner,
Yes.
Underwood.
Yes.
Cool. And as I said, Derek is away on business this week and he couldn't make it because of the reschedule, but I will send over a digital version of the certificate of appropriateness for that to him tomorrow and then get one out in the mail tomorrow as well.
Great, thank you. All right, moving along, looks like 505, 509 West Vine, 804 West Vine, 816, and 824 Southwest Edge.
Excuse me.
Just state your name and tell us about what you'd like to do, please.
Yeah, so I'm a representative with the City of Kalamazoo, work in the planning department, and I'm representing the businesses at those addresses. They're all participating in the Vine Projecting Signs project, which is FFE funded. So basically, about a year ago, they received the dimensional variance from the ZBA to be able to have projecting signs based on their zoning designation as CN1, which they currently aren't allowed to if we were following the current sign standards. So it's basically just aligning them with the upcoming sign standards so they can have projecting signs. And basically here before you to get approval for the material that would be used for the signs, and I brought that material.
You can try to hook up to the HDMI if you want. I don't know if your port there is going to work or not. So if you would like to, you can give. And I'm not sure. Oh, maybe.
Is this MedX or Altera?
It's a PVC.
That's PVC?
Yeah. So we're working in conjunction with Signwriter to install the signs. Okay, here we go. So back when the variance was approved last year, the Vine Neighborhood Association was in favor of the project. Part of their neighborhood plan, they wanted to help the businesses. So the idea being here that we can provide projecting signs for the businesses. And throughout the project and working with Signwriter, the hope is to install the brackets once and then have the signs, they wouldn't swing independently, they'd be anchored still, but then for flexibility for those spaces, they'd be able to interchange the actual signs themselves, but the brackets would all be relatively the same. There is an exception to that being the Crow's Nest site, which is a difficult site to work with, so we'd be working with Louise, Mark Wrench at Signwriter to figure out what the best solution is. And the reason we've gone with the PVC signs in particular is the sandblasted cedar sign, which would be acceptable in historic district, is a prohibitive cost given the budget we have. It's about $2,700 a sign to fabricate. And these signs would be in the ballpark of 16 square feet. So the PVC signs, working with Mark, have become a new standard. And from the street, given their design, you wouldn't be able to tell they're not wood. And the idea would be to keep this bracket, as you see here, or a similar bracket across the projecting signs to maintain, you know, similar look. And this is just some images of the sites. So You can see Crow's Nest is probably the one that's going to require the most planning around. The rest, you know, we would go through right-of-way permits, we would go through sign permits, so there'd be a lot of people looking at how they interact with the sidewalk, how they would interact with the building face. But the real point of the project is to provide the signs at no cost to the businesses, have them work with artists, local artists, to design their signs and get them installed and keep the character the same across the district. I think the only business that may use a sandblasted cedar sign is O'Duffy's at 804 West Vine, 722 Locust Street. But the rest we'd be looking to most likely use that PVC material with vinyl on them. So, and this is just the Chapter 50 update that the ZBA variance allowed us to, you know, move to this newer standard, which will be the new standard eventually, but isn't currently. So that was inhibiting the project moving forward. So, happy to answer any questions.
Jeremy, this is a question for you or those of you who have been on the commission longer than I have. I do recall addressing a sign proposal, but it was the design of the sign. And is it my understanding you're not asking for a ruling on a design of a sign, you're just for the material? Will you be back with the designs?
Yeah, right now it's the material. And also addressing any concerns you would have with the interface of the brackets to the buildings. Of course, Mark has been to the sites and understands that, and after speaking with Louise, you know, trying to mount the brackets in the mortar, and then beyond that, understanding that that may not be possible given the bracket as you go lower, but that at least the initial bolting, that first bolt, he could, you know, look to anchor to a mortar joint. As far as the design, I don't know, we're still finalizing, artists are still finalizing the designs, so we only have 2 finalized right now. So really right now it's the brackets and the material.
Sorry. So when we now look at these things and after having discussions too, it seems to me, you know, that we're not going to be ruling upon the content of the signs. We don't get to regulate upon what goes into the signs. So I think the considerations here are the, to me, the largest considerations that get brought up here then are the mountings of the signs. I think that this is a novel approach because it affords, when you put on these signs, they're going to be interchangeable in effect. The faces will be interchangeable for the future businesses that are going to be there. It's an opportunity for the city to be able to work together as well with people in Vine collaboratively. And I think that the mounting is to me, the biggest thing that I was looking at, because that's what will alter the building physically, whereas the actual sign faces themselves, I guess, will not, because they're not directly mounted to the building.
Yeah, and I'll add that the PVC material is lighter but still durable, and so that would put less stress presumably on the bracket, although Mark has assured me that, you know, the brackets would be designed to still hold a maximum weight even if they're not holding that maximum weight, and we would be, you know, working closely with Louise and the business owners on a case-by-case basis to make sure it interfaces with the building correctly and appropriately.
So you think it will be wrought iron or some type of iron for the bracket?
I believe so. That was the
which
bracket
is-
Mark had proposed, but like I said, you know, in Crow's Nest case, there might be a different approach, just given the actual facade of that building and everything there. It might need a little bit more of a novel approach. But for the Vine Neighborhood Association owned properties on Vine Street and O'Duffy's and Puff and Stuff, where they have enough area above the 8-foot minimum height, that should be, you know, mounting to that brick. It's just understanding where it's mounted to the brick, and that's where we'd lean on Mark's expertise, working with the owners.
Well, in response to a comment made, I think there's a difference between regulating the content of a sign and regulating the design of a sign. And you can have, I've been to historic districts where the signs tell you it's a historic district, not by the content, not by what is on them, but by their shape, the choice of lettering. And I have been to ones where you wouldn't know it was a historic district. So that's, I do think that we have the authority to weigh in on the design of the sign, not the content, but the design.
Right, you mean the shape, but that's kind of what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
shape, script.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if the script has ever been regulated upon. And I guess I don't know if that's something that we rule upon, script or content, I think in the most broad manner, because we don't have any kind of font guide to go against. I guess would be my thinking for that as well.
Yeah, I don't recall, I definitely recall approving signs, but not, like you said, not like the shape of the text on the sign. Definitely the shape of the sign. I guess I'm curious about the bracket. I don't know, Luis, I'd be interested in your thoughts on, I mean, do you feel like that's appropriate for the time? Or, I don't know, that my sort of thing is the design of the bracket. Feels like, I don't know what it feels like to me, but I guess I'm not convinced it's appropriate, but.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up on my computer, but technical difficulties abound. So what part concerns you, Jeremy?
Just like the scroll and the twist,
Okay.
like the wrought iron, I guess. Just
And-
wonder if it's, is it trying to be historic and it needs to just be something a little cleaner, or?
Yeah, and I don't know, Nolan, is there room for, is there other brackets that have comparable pricing?
I believe so. If you take a look at what's in Washington Square area in the Edison neighborhood, I think we could do something like that as well. That was just Mark's first suggestion, but I've built in, not having, having flexibility in the budget to see, if there are other options. That was his initial thought, but I believe we could do something very similar to, and the shape of the signs, based on the two designs brought back so far, would be, rectangular or circular at this point.
Yeah, and I appreciate the situation that you're in as well, Nolan, because fielding out to local artists, I think you have to, subject to the ebb and flow of the creative process and working with people as they get things back to you, but I think it's interesting to be able to work with people in the community to get this done. I understand where you're coming from as well, though, Jeremy, and not creating a false sense of history with the brackets in doing so. So if there was any room to look at choosing something that's a little bit more dressed down, for lack of a better term, and just more simple, that might be more appropriate.
Yeah, I think we definitely can do that. I think those brackets proposed are $440 each, but like I said, I think there's flexibility in the budget where we could look at a much cleaner option. Keeping with the character of the commercial corridor.
I like the idea of the wrought iron brackets, and I think it fits, and in my opinion, it's not making a false sense. We're hanging the sign what it is, and the nice thing is that iron will patina, and even if you don't maintain it, it's not just gonna rust through with that rust. It'll last, and the brackets themselves will, I don't like to say a false sense of history, but I think it'll blend in more with especially the older masonry buildings. And then it also got the ability on those brackets, if Mark's building them individually for each building, on the flanges for where he's mounting, if we want to specify, like sometimes we do, make sure you're mounted in the mortar joints, you'll be able to space those offset on those flanges so that he can hit the mortar joints. He could actually lay out each bracket custom or each flange so that he can fit it to each building.
Yeah, and that has certainly been one of the big things that I've expressed as well, is making sure that we line up with the, lining up with the mortar joints, I think is important, obviously. And I guess it is kind of an interesting discussion, right, about looking at, is this a false sense of history or not? And I think that there are probably multiple schools of thought on that, you know, Jeremy, John. I think when you look at it, it's like, I don't know if this is trying to evoke a certain time at all. I guess I'm not as up on signs. I don't think that this is looking to evoke one, so, but I do understand what you're saying, that it could be interpreted. So I think that there are two sides to that coin as well.
Yeah, and just, I'll add one more thing. I've definitely been working closely with Louise up to this point on the project as well, and would continue doing so. And Mark has been very, very open about lines of communication, so could definitely make sure that it keeps with the character of the district.
Yep, and he has been, so. And, sorry, you can go ahead.
Yeah, and we've talked to the death a little bit, but like making it so the brackets are uniform, which is great because it really solidifies it. But then having them so there's not like a faux, a faux look to them. So it's just, a little more understated, a little bit more classic, straightforward design. Yeah, then I would totally be into it.
Wrought iron is wrought iron, it was in 1890 and it is still. So, it's the same thing. There's no vote on this?
No, there would be a vote. We would need a motion to move it forward, so.
I'll move to approve the installation of the signs at the above listed properties as specified. This proposal complies with the Secretary of the Interior Standards 1, 2, 9, and 10. The Commission approves a certificate of appropriateness for this project. Approval of any final details to be delegated to the Historic Preservation Coordinator.
I second that.
All right, thank you. Is there any public comment before we vote? Hearing none, is there further deliberations for the commission? I just want to say, I'm happy to support this. I personally would like to see a different bracket, but I'm happy to let you guys work together to come up with a solution.
Yep.
Could we have a roll call vote, Luis?
Yep. Grayson,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Kastner,
Yes.
Underwood.
Yes.
Cool, so I'll send out, I'm not sure now if I'll do one letter or a bunch of letters because there are a bunch of properties. But I'll send it out to you tomorrow, the certificate of appropriateness for that, and then email one as well, so.
Thank you all.
Yep. You can try now.
Okay, moving forward, we're moving to 902 South Westnedge.
And I'm not sure why, but the computer still isn't working. So it seems that up there HDMI worked, but our connection up here is not working, so.
Okay, my construction guy is actually coming. Do you want me to wait till he gets here, or do you want me to move forward?
I think you could start if you would like. It's really up to you.
Sure.
I think you can start to talk through it. I know that, and I was telling her before that kind of got bumped up, I think, because one of the other ones fell off. So thank you for being here. And I'm sorry if I pushed you up ahead in your schedule a little bit. So.
No, that's okay. I'm here. So I've never done this kind of thing before, but we have an application for project review to build a ramp for my business building. It's a law firm on 902 South Westnedge. We need to have apparently a 27-foot ramp. I'm assuming you have the pictures in front of you. It's an awkward, correct, yes. It's going to be off the back. It's going to be pressurized wood. It's going to be snaking back along the building. It's all on my property. But in order to get the right grade, that's what we have to do. It's going to look kind of long and excessive, but to have the right grade, which is my understanding I have to have, that is what needs to happen. Any other information you needed from me?
If you could just state your name as well.
Oh, I'm attorney Allison Greenlee Core, sorry.
No, not a problem.
I'm the business and property owner.
And I'll just say before you guys begin to talk about it, that this is on a corner, and that's most of the reason why I brought it, because it's just visible, so I just wanted everyone to have a chance to look at the stuff. The amount of room that is going to be worked in is not the most room to achieve that grade by keeping it into the grass. I do think that keeping it on the ones, like, since it's on a corner, you're never going to be able to keep it completely invisible from the street, but this does keep it not visible from at least one of the streets, and I think that, I guess to me, access to a building is important, I think, for all people, and that's a big consideration that I always have in mind. And something like this is certainly not irreversible. Just wood construction being anchored to the existing deck, if I'm correct, I think is
That's correct. The deck that's currently there has a portion that we built. Before we got the permit, we put a portion that we can just remove the railing and build it directly off of that deck. It's actually not really going to be visible from the road at all.
Okay, yeah.
I've been in that building for a while, and you really can't even see that side at all.
My feeling on these is, they come up before us before is, there's no way I'd try and stand in the way of having an ADA or health and safety thing, and just, as long as the design it fits in some criteria for railings and everything else, that, we do everything we can to just do everything we can to that. That's where my feeling is on it. Any of these items, I don't, wouldn't want to put any resistance up to, because it's a need, it's required for what you want to do with your property, so.
Yeah, and we did originally want to have this up in August when we moved in July, but that got bumped back. So this is just a delayed motion. I'd like to get it done so we can have the access there.
Is there anything that shows the railings or any style that you're going to have for on there? Was it in here? Because it's not up on the computer, and I don't have my full.
I don't
on my
think that we've
phone.
got. They're just standard railings. Since it's in the back of the building, there wasn't anything there that was historic. It was actually really bad. I don't know if you saw the old pictures, but it was actually really bad. We've just got standard. What would you call them?
One by one, standard pressure treated railing.
Yeah, they're just standard railings.
Will it match the deck that is currently there?
It will.
Okay,
Yes.
so then that gives you a little bit of a visual here if you want to look. While he's looking at that, I had a quick question. Are you planning on painting it or staining it?
Probably going to stain it. I'm going to let it dry out for the winter and then probably stain it in the fall.
Because we're so close to winter, I think that there will have to have the waiting period, obviously, of letting that wood dry out, so.
This is the first stop, right? You still have to get a building permit?
Do we have a building?
We have a building permit for everything that's been done. We do need a building permit for this, and that was already been submitted and everything, and that's when they said we need to go to
Okay.
HD, their approval, and then it's a pretty standard procedure for them to.
Yeah, I'm just curious, because there's going to be, I mean, you would need pipe rails, right? Are you planning on doing handrails that are pipe rails?
I don't think John said we needed that because we've had the building inspector's been out there to look at it and comment on it. So, and that's why we haven't started yet, because we still needed this
Okay.
approval. But he didn't mention anything about that.
Yeah, so
Some
just,
of some of the HDC's guidelines that I've seen shown pipe rails on top of the railing, and that's very doable. I'd probably do those in black if we was going to do something with them.
yeah, I'm just because typically with a handicap ramp, you need to people need to be able to grab it and sort of pull themselves up on both sides.
Gotcha.
It's not like a one-sided thing, so I'm not worried about it, but my guess is those railings are going to be cutting in front of the windows against the building. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So typically with a,
We have to do the measurements. I think it's going to be really.
Double check, yeah, there's only one window and it would not, it's a,
With the grade going down, I think it actually might be below the window at that
yeah,
point.
it might be.
It's going to be really close.
It's a back,
okay. I mean, as long as the building, it's more complicated than it's shown, that's all I'm trying to say.
yeah,
That's all.
Build a few.
Yeah, so.
But I'm not here for code enforcement.
Well, I guess I'm just trying to point out that it's going to look different than you're imagining, if that makes any sense. So anyway.
Yeah, and again, it's really not going to be visible at all from the road unless you're really, really looking for it.
Yeah, I mean, this is, like Louise said, I mean, getting historic buildings accessible is a challenge, but it's important, especially if it's your business. I mean,
Yeah.
you know more than,
Yeah.
as an attorney, than anybody that access is important, so.
And I will say too, that the spindles on that should be, the spindles are in between the bottom and top rail, not set in on the outside.
Correct.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, further discussion?
I'll make a motion unless there's any other discussion here. I make a motion, we approve the installation of the barrier-free ramp as specified with Luis to handle the spindle detail with the applicant. The proposal complies with the Secretary of Interior Standards 1 through 5, 9 and 10, and the Commission approves a certificate of appropriateness for this project, approving and final details delegated to the Historic Preservation Coordinator.
Thank you, John. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Andrew. Is there any public comment before we vote? All right, hearing none. Any further discussion before we vote? All right, Louise, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Yep, Grayson,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Kastner,
Yes.
Underwood.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I forgot about the cat balcony. All right, moving on, approval of minutes. Is there a motion to amend, or is there any amendments to the minutes that the commission is aware of? No? Is there a motion to approve the minutes from July 19th, 2022?
So moved.
Thank you, Dana. Is there support?
Second.
Thank you, Andrew. Those in favor, we'll say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, hearing none, the minutes are approved. Luis, anything to report on any administrative approvals that you'd like the commission to be aware of?
Nothing that I can think of that stands out too crazy to me. And then we do, just want to remind people, and I'm not sure if we can do it again, but we do have the June minutes that we didn't approve because last time we didn't have like a quorum to vote on them because people just weren't at that meeting. So I don't know if you can remember that far back, but I don't know if we have then the quorum to do it this time or not. So I just wanted to bring that up to everyone's attention.
Okay. I don't know, how do we feel about the June minutes? Seeing that it's September, do we want to approve them? Let's do it. Is there a motion to approve the?
I make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Dan. Is there a second?
So moved.
Thank you, Dana. Those in favor, we'll say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Just trying to remember if I was at that meeting, that's why I didn't vote. If I wasn't at the meeting, I'm not going to vote on the minutes.
Understood. All right, the minutes are approved. All right, that brings us to the end for adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Thank you, Dana. Is there a second?
Second that.
Thank you, John. Those in favor, we'll say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned at 5:49. Thank you.